Welcome back. This afternoon, you're listening to the Todd Laborowitz Show, Real Estate Radio and Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. I am your host, Todd Laborowitz, and we are speaking to Barrie Friedman. She is Director of Rehabilitation Programs for Cornerstone Montgomery. She's an undergrad at Syracuse University and graduate school at Florida State University. Welcome, Barrie.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Love having you here. Well, tell us more about Cornerstone Montgomery.
Cornerstone Montgomery is a fabulous organization. It's only 2 years old with 70 years of history behind it. We were previously St. Luke's House and Threshold Services Incorporated. We were two small to medium-sized nonprofits serving people with chronic mental illness, both agencies having very similar missions, values, and philosophies of how to work with folks and how to work within the state and county systems. And we were very, very similar. And as the Affordable Care Act started coming into play, and as we were looking at the future and what mental health services might look like, we decided, but individually and then, of course, together, that we needed to be one large organization. Yeah. And so we merged 2 years ago.
Okay. Well, can you share a brief history on the origins of Cornerstone and tell our listeners how you're making an impact in Montgomery County?
Sure, I'd be glad to. We started providing residential services, which is what brings us here today to talk about affordable housing and residential services in Montgomery County. And both organizations started that way. St. Luke's House 40 years ago actually was the first, what was then called halfway house for people coming out of state institutions in Maryland and back into the community. If you think about the time frame and the civil rights movement and the medications that were being invented and patented and the efforts to close large institutions, we were ahead of the curve on that. We were really the first out there. Threshold started exactly the same way, providing residential services for people with chronic mental illness. We have now over 72 properties for residential services throughout Montgomery County, and we have 3 administration buildings right now. We provide a vast array of services. We have outpatient mental health clinics. We have, go ahead.
Okay. Well, in Montgomery County, it's not an inexpensive place to find housing.
That's true.
Now, how is Cornerstone Montgomery addressing the issues for affordable housing?
We have been part of many, many different state initiatives. We have community bond money right now that we're working to buy permanent supported housing properties for folks coming out of our residential program so that we have a continuity of care. And as people progress in their recovery, that they can go into more independent housing. So that's community bonds. Over the years, we've accessed HUD 811 money. We have partnerships with other nonprofits. We have a program with Rockville Housing Authority and Montgomery Housing Partnership to provide some independent apartments for folks.
So you're fundraising this money, buying the property, letting people move in that are in need.
Mm-hmm.
And is there nurses or staff on, or is it just people living there?
Again, it's full range of services. We have some houses which have 24-hour staffing where there's always awake supervision. And in our permanent supported living model, in our newest model, people are on their own with drop-in services. And we have everything in between. We have apartment models. We have clusters of apartments in a few different neighborhoods in the county. We have large group homes. We have townhouse communities. We have a broad range of models. When people come into our program, we try to get them connected to what we hope will be helpful for them. And certainly they can ask us, for preferences of where their families live and where they might prefer to live. And we just have lots of choices and lots of partnerships, as I said, and many different state and local opportunities to use community bond. As I said, 811, the Department of Housing and Community Affairs has a program as well. People do pay us cost of care. They do use part of their Social Security award money if they have Social Security. They also, most of our income comes from the services we provide, and that's through the state medical assistance program.
Okay. So it sounds like you're pretty well funded.
No, I wouldn't say that. I really.
Well, more funding.
We are a nonprofit, and we are incredibly creative about ways to fund our programs. And again, we're very mission driven. Okay. But no, we're not well funded.
Let me reword that. Okay. You have a wonderful foundation.
We do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
We do get about 75% of our money from medical assistance, and beyond that, we have some grants, a little bit of private pay, but the balance is very much through fundraising.
Okay. Well, by the way, if you're just tuning in, I have with me Barrie Friedman, Director of Rehabilitation Programs for Cornerstone Montgomery. I am your host, Todd Laborowit, and you're listening to Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. Now, let me ask you this question, Barrie.
Mm-hmm.
How does one get into your program? Do they need to get admitted to a hospital and then come out and then they get referred to you? Like, how can our listeners know or listen out for a loved one or family member or friend to refer them to your services in your program?
Different programs have different intake criteria. For the most part, the state dictates to us that people have to be part of what's called a priority population or a target population, and that would include for basically all of our rehab programs. Target population is primarily the schizophrenia disorders, bipolar disorder, mood disorders such as depression as well, and some personality disorders. For our clinic, our outpatient mental health clinic, it would be the same as going to any other outpatient mental health clinic. And so the range of people who could use those services is much, much greater. In that sense, for our clinic, you would call our clinic directly and ask to be have an intake and see our doctors or therapist or, be in particular groups. We have a lot of addictions groups, broad variety of groups as well.
Okay. Well, what I'd like to offer you, our listeners, is the opportunity to get in touch with Cornerstone Montgomery, whether you wish to donate, be part of one of your fundraisers, or ask questions of how you can help the family member or a loved one. Just call or text me, Cornerstone Montgomery, to 301-467-8444. That number again is 301-467-8444. Now, Barrie, how did you get involved with Cornerstone Montgomery?
I've really been a social worker my whole life. You didn't attach any dates to my degrees, which I kind of appreciate. But I've been a master in social work since 1970, and I've been with Cornerstone since 1992. So I know basically it's what I've always done. I worked in different aspects of mental health care. I was, in the old days, a psychiatric social worker, which was what, the terminology at the time, now clinical social worker. So, it's just what I've always done.
Great. Well, is there anything upcoming that we might be interested in getting involved in for our listeners?
Absolutely. We have many opportunities. We have a huge volunteer program. We have a golf outing coming up on October the 7th, which you can find out more information about on our website. We have really donations. You realize we have 72 residences, which means 72 kitchens and lots of pots and pans, and God knows how many bathrooms that need towels and linens. And
well, tell me about the golf event.
Sure.
Where's it at?
It's going to be at the in Bealsville, Maryland, at the Members Club at Four Streams. And it's on October 7th. There are sponsorships, foursomes, individual players, guests.
Who do they get in touch with?
With Heidi Webb. Heidi Webb is in charge of that event. She's our director of development, and she can also be reached at Cornerstone.
Okay. And what about donations if people wish to donate?
Also through Heidi's office.
Okay. Does she have a number, website?
She does. She is Heidi.Webb, W-E-B-B, at cornerstonemontgomery.org. And her phone number, direct line, 301-896-4266.
Great. Well, Barrie, final question. What are some of the biggest challenges for your organization like Cornerstone Montgomery?
I think for us right now, it's about recruiting and retaining really, really fine direct service staff. We have very, very dedicated staff, and they are college graduates. They love the work they do. And the state is giving us a slight increase in our rate this year, but it's not going to start until January. So we have 6 months of fiscal rate with no increase from last year. And our staff really, need to stay with us and need to not take IT jobs and better paying jobs. And, they need to do the work they love doing, and they do well. And so really recruiting and retaining staff is our biggest challenge.
So it sounds like you're having some turnover.
Historically, we do. It's in fact, I probably feel it more this time of year when people are looking to go back to school or to move or to, change what they're doing. So we feel a little bit more in the summer. So we are always recruiting.
And who do they talk to for that?
That would be Helen Gillespie. And again, it's helen.gillespie at cornerstonemontgomery.org.
Maybe give out her number.
Okay. I would say call our main number, which is 301-493-4200, and ask for Helen Gillespie.
Okay. Well, Barrie, thank you so much for being here. Barrie Friedman, Director of Rehabilitation Programs for Cornerstone Montgomery. Well, next Saturday at 1 p.m., we'll be talking with Mark Dubic, founder and president of Duval. Duval has built the Rockville Town Center, Lionsgate in downtown Bethesda, Foxhall Ridge Townhomes, Petworth, Safeway, and Wildwood Master Plan communities. I also want to thank our producer, Greg Gillner. We appreciate all the hard work you put into the show each and every week. Also want to thank you to Ellie Vandergriff, our photographer and editor for our website. Tune in to the Todd Laborowitz Show next Saturday, June 7th at 1 p.m. right here on Salem Broadcast Network, WRC 1260 AM. You need the inside scoop.
Investors endured two devastating bear market corrections since the year 2000. Unfortunately, many people still haven't recovered from their losses. Yet our clients tell a different story. I'm Jim Musgrave with Research Financial Strategies. For investments that make money in both bull and bear markets, call me at 301-588-0514 or visit jimmusgrave.com to learn how Research Financial Strategies can benefit you, your family, and your business. Can you afford not to?